Hi, welcome to It's So Friday. Sorry for the little delay here in the beginning. We're coordinating between Facebook and Instagram, making sure that they are all both going before I just start talking to everyone. So it's been a little while, so welcome back. This is It's So Friday here at Robert Kaufman, and we are really excited about our project for you today. I don't know if you can guess what we're going to make, but has a little something to do with hair products, a little something to do with knits. You could wear them like a trendy accessory. You could just keep putting them on. We're gonna make scrunchies. We have a brand new free pattern available on our website designed by Carolyn Friedlander. It's called the Blake Scrunchie, and it uses her brand new fabric collection, Blake Cotton Jersey. There are 3 different designs printed on our gorgeous 4-way stretch knit. So there's these 3 stripes. We have a yellow and pale blue, light blue, dark blue, and a yellow and like kind of grayish color. The next is this really cool geometric design, black and navy, wait, blue and navy, gray and white. And then this really like bright red orange with a light blue. Maybe it's more red than orange, but
I also think that that's kind of a brown in the dark blue.
yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Then there's a light blue crosshatch, this color taupey kind of crosshatch, and a black crosshatch. And so these are great for garments and scrunchies. And so if you haven't sewn with knits before, this should be your introductory project because it's really easy, and as you can tell, it's very fashionable and everyone is wearing scrunchies nowadays. I don't actually have enough hair to put a scrunchie in, but if I did, I would probably have like 4 in my hair right now. So let's get to it. The first thing you're going to need, aside from your awesome collection of Blake knits, is going to be a rotary cutter, your pattern downloaded from the Robert Kaufman website, which you can get in the link above, a sharp pair of scissors. I have my Kai shears here. They go with me everywhere. Some elastic. This is a 1/4 inch knit elastic, has a really good stretch to it. This is very important for the success of your scrunchie. You're also going to need your cut of fabric and a really great long, at least 18-inch ruler and a cutting mat. So this one has actually already been pre-cut, but I'm going to cut another one live on video here. All right, let's go with this one because I like this one a lot. I think it would look really good on this arm with my other scrunchies.
That one on that arm. It's missing it.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is kind of clear your surface. When you cut with knits, they're going to want to curl under, so you can kind of see just like you have your cut and the edges are kind of curling. This cut is a 1/4 yard, so it's a little bit bigger than what you actually need. So lay out your fabric, and then using your ruler, you're going to make sure that you have at least 18 inches by 5 inches, and since I'm going to be a little wasteful and cut right from the middle just to make my life easier. Now I'm lining up my edge of my ruler along one of my stripes so that I have a nice continuous straight stripe, which I don't know if you can see this well, but in your finished scrunchie, this will give you this really cool kind of like continuous circle shape, which obviously you want. All right, so I'm going to make my 2 cuts and get rid of my excess. And now if you're in a space where you can move, before you even move this, it might be nice to just go to the other side and line your ruler up at your 18 inches by 5 inches mark. And that will keep you from having to shift your knit, because a knit is going to pull a little bit. So if you do have to move it, just be really careful, otherwise you're gonna end up like this and it might drive you a little crazy. So I don't know if I'm gonna step off screen, but I'm gonna step this way and cut real quick.
It's just like a lot of scrunchy arms in this.
So now I have my 5-inch by 18-inch piece of fabric. I have 2 of them actually, and I'm just going to piece them at the same time because it's easier to go in a chain almost. All right. You can sew knits with a straight stitch, but for the optimal stretchiness of your scrunchie, because you really want to get that great like when you're going to want to use a stretch stitch. It's kind of like a zigzag stitch, only less extreme than this. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt. So imagine like Harry Potter's scar, but in a sewing stitch that just keeps going. That's what you're going to do. So I have a specialty stitch. I'm working with the Janome 8900, and on my machine it's the number 6 stitch. And so what you're going to do is just fold your fabric lengthwise, right sides together, and you're going to sew along the entire edge. Now, I've learned the interesting way that you shouldn't start at the end with your knits, or it will pull into your feed dog. So unless you want to deal with that and then have to take your machine out and maybe it starts airing because you really ruined it, start in the middle, maybe just like an inch or 2 up. That's going to really save you a lot of headache. So we're gonna move this so maybe you can see it, and I'm just going to, I'm not going to pin because I do a lot to avoid pinning, but if you are a pinner, you should pin. Otherwise, I would keep my finger between the 2 sections, so when you fold it in half, as you're guiding it in, I keep my finger between the 2 layers to help unfurl any edges that are turning and guide it along my machine. Now the instructions say to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but I don't know how to move my needle to a different part for this stitch on this machine, so my seam allowance is slightly more generous, and that's not going to ruin my scrunchie even a little bit. As you can see, I've successfully made many a scrunchie.
There's a lot of people asking about your dress, so if you just want to...
Oh, it's a striped dress.
You didn't make it, right?
I did not make it. I bought it at a store, and I don't like the fabric very much. I wish that I had made it with my own fabric that I had picked, because then I would like it more, I think. But it kind of reminds me of a clown dress, and I think it goes really well with my scrunchy arms, so that's what I've got. And if you have any questions at any point in this video, feel free to ask. So I went off the edge of my piece here, but I still have this piece at the end. So I'm going to flip it around, and now on the other side, complete that seam. And then before I cut my piece, I'm going to just chain stitch the next piece. And then because the needle is already connected to another piece of fabric and it's kind of acting like a leader, I haven't had any problems with chain piecing like this, although you never know, could decide to give me trouble just for the video. Oh, no, look, it worked perfect. So exciting. Oh, and I don't think I said it in my supply list, but it's very important to have a safety pin. So make sure that you have a safety pin close by, and that's going to be for turning. This project has quite a bit of turning, so if you have little kids around that are always wanting to help you with your sewing projects, this is a really good one to do that with, because there's a lot of like, oh, just take this tube and turn it inside out, now turn it backside out the other way, and kids are really great at helping with things like that. As are your coworkers. We did have a chain, an assembly chain. I couldn't do all of these scrunchies in an hour by myself, so. All right, so now I have my 2 pieces of fabric. Their destiny is to be a scrunchie, they're just not there yet. And I'm just going to trim the little connecting piece in between. And now you have to turn these inside or right side out. And you'll see in the directions that it says to turn these right side out, and then you're going to turn again, and you might be wondering, well, why do I have to do that? Well, because if you didn't do that right now, you would end up with a scrunchie that was inside out, and your scrunchie would look like this side of the fabric, which is fine if that's what you were going for, but if you really wanted to see the beautiful side of the fabric, you wouldn't see it that way. So I'm just shoving this entire thing onto my thumb and then pulling it through like a little tunnel, and it's great because since this is a knit fabric, it stretches and it makes it a lot easier to turn than if you were trying to turn cotton. Look how easy that was. So easy. Okay, we're gonna do that again.
Someone's asking about your machine.
This is a Janome 8900. It's the machine that I use at home as well, and I love it. It's great for quilting, but it also has, whoa, lost my train of thought. It's great for quilting, but it also is great for garments and all kinds of different projects, and it has a lot of different kinds of stitches. It has so many different kinds of stitches that I don't actually even use them all because I have to read my manual again to figure out how to program some of that machine.
And we also have some folks asking about working with different fabrics with scrunchies. Did it make much of a difference?
I think you could use, I don't know, you know, I've only ever used Blake knit to make scrunchies. This was my first day making
I think
scrunchies.
Elizabeth Hartman was making
But
some out of
Elizabeth Hartman did make some out of
Market.
a quilting cotton, so I think that you could use other fabrics. But these just have a nice stretch to them. So I do like that about them. Alright, so once you've turned your tubes right sides out, you're not done. You get to turn again. This time you're going to turn this tube halfway so that your edges meet with the right sides together. So what you want to do is make sure that your seam isn't twisting, because if your seam twists, your whole scrunchie is going to be in this like weird, crazy place. And so I like to keep my seam on top so I can see it, and I'm just pushing the fabric back into itself until I get the edges to line up. And this can be a little tricky because it's knit, so it's like folding over and it looks like you're finished, but you're not. So see, that's not good enough. You actually have to fix it a little bit more. And once you have your edges together, it should look like this. So like half of a tube, and you can see you got your right sides together. Now, you could pin this. The instructions say to pin this. You could pin this, or you can just sew it. I've tried to stretch it to get my feet in here, but it's a little tricky, and so what I found works best is to just kind of like gently put this under here, move the top out of the way, and put the foot down, and then sew slowly. Again, you're still using that lightning bolt kind of stitch, and just be careful to keep your fingers out of the way of the needle and the top layer of your fabric away from the needle so it doesn't get caught. You want to leave probably like 3/4 to an inch open for turning, and that's how you're going to get that delightful scrunchy look, so that you don't just have a tube of fabric. Whoa! See, it's getting caught on my foot. Okay, so I have a little bit more to go. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So you can't really see it, but I left a little space open for turning. And now we're going to do that again with our other scrunchie.
Elastic is 1/4 inch.
1/4 inch.
And it's 6.5 inches long for
yes,
each of these.
and all of
scrunchies.
those measurements are in the pattern too, which is again free on the Robert Kaufman website and available just in the link above this post. So, and you'll notice there's bulk in this. You can't really see it, but you could feel it. So to make it easier for yourself when you're sewing, you can always kind of pull some of that away so you don't accidentally stitch it together, because that would not be good for your scrunchie. All right. So again, once you've got those seams lined up, then you're going to sew. And I don't know if you have to, but I'm nesting these two seams to help it lay flat, so you can see this and this. I'm just pressing the finger pressing in either direction and then stitching. And again, not stretching, but just kind of sliding this in here, lowering my foot, and then moving things. And being very careful not to accidentally sew the top or my finger. I don't want to go to the doctor for a needle finger. That doesn't sound fun. Okay. Alright, so now that I have, wow, I did not leave myself much room to turn on that one.
That's fun.
So I'm going to actually take my handy dandy seam ripper, my little buddy over here, and give myself a little more room, just because, yeah. Sometimes because this is a really small, tight little project in there, you can't really see it very clearly, so it's always better to leave yourself a little bit more space, because it's easy to close after the scrunchie has been made, but it's a lot harder to seam rip. Kind of a pain in the neck, actually. The stitches are really tiny. Okay. Now for the fun part. You have almost got a scrunchie here. You'll have this little hole at the top where your ends meet, and that's where you're going to turn the entire scrunchie through that point. And this was why you had to turn the scrunchie out to begin with, because now, look at that! You've got this this cool thing of fabric that is not a scrunchie yet. But if you wanted to make a headband, you could probably lengthen this a little bit, and you wouldn't even necessarily have to add elastic, because you have that knit with the great stretch. You would have a really cute little headband. All right, so here we go. We're pushing this through. Ooh. And this is where it's good if you've eliminated that bulk in the middle, because then it's not trying to shove everything through that space all at once, because this one I didn't do that on. It's a little trickier to turn. All right, come on. Okay, here we go. All right, and so as you can see on this, we've got a really nice, our lines meet really nicely there. See that? That was because we cut it so carefully. Success. Okay. Now we have this pre-cut strip of elastic that's 6.5 inches, but just so you can see what we're doing here, you literally just take your elastic and measure along your acrylic ruler and eyeball it. This is about 6.5 inches, a little trim. Now you're ready to go. 2 pieces of elastic, 2 not quite scrunchies, and a safety pin. Whoops, sorry. Okay, now this is the fun part. Take your safety pin and pin it just through a little bit of the elastic, at least 1/4 inch or so in, so that it doesn't just tear away. And now you have a safety pin with elastic, and you are going to use this to feed it through the hole. Be careful not to accidentally just pull the whole thing through, because you want to keep a hold of your end. It's going to be how you connect it and get a scrunchie. So we are weaving this through and holding on to our ends. This is another really fun thing that the kids can help you with, or that your coworkers can help you with. All right, and once you have both ends out, take your safety pin out, and you'll see 2 ends of of elastic like this. Now you overlap them like this, and then sew them together, which makes no extra bulk. Because if you put them together like this and then sew, you'll have like a little bit popping out, which, I mean, you could do it that way, but it doesn't really matter. You should use your little zigzaggy stitch still to do this, but I struggle every time I try and do that on a video, so I'm just gonna, yeah. The trickiest part of this is actually getting it to lay in your machine nicely so that you can stitch it without it moving, which is probably why people pin things. I'm gonna try that and see if that helps. Okay, I'm gonna, ow. Don't pin yourself because it kind of hurts. But I'm gonna pin my little elastic bits together here and then sew them and see how that works. Okay. This is a lot. Oh, no, my pin just came undone. All right. You guys can battle it at home like that. I'm giving up and just doing the thing I said that would cause extra bulk. I'm just gonna do that. Okay. And so I have a little bit of extra bulk, but now I'm just gonna take my scissors and trim that down a little bit. And it'll work. Now the benefit of using the lightning bolt stitch is that it's going to stretch with your elastic the best, and that will give you a nice, great, firm, complete scrunchie that can hold up to wear and tear and arm decoration or hair decoration, or just, like wall decoration. I think you hang a lot on your walls. Okay, so this looks complete, but it's still not done, but we're going to repeat this process of stringing the elastic through on the other one. I didn't poke myself again. I just, the first time it still hurts. Okay, let's see, where is that turning space? Okay, so once again, we are going to feed that elastic through our little headband scrunchy body guy. Don't let the ends get lost. Oh, I see it. Okay, look at that. Success. Okay. Struggling today.
It was a really good time to zoom in. I'm sorry.
Was me just being like.
No, it's just you struggling.
Okay, and again, sewing your elastic shut. Whoa. Sewed a whole lot of nothing there.
I can't see the Facebook feed.
Okay.
What are they asking?
And now we are going to sew our scrunchies together. Now, if you are up to it, you can actually hand sew this opening shut, which is going to make it look really seamless. Or you can just sew it shut with a straight stitch, which is what I'm going to do. Because once you wear them on your arms like a decoration, you can't really see it anyway. And that is how you make a scrunchie. Isn't that exciting? So exciting. I know. I know. Okay, we're gonna do this one more time. Ooh, let's see. Make sure that you're only stitching shut the opening and not the rest of the scrunchie together, because that would be a bummer. All right. And just like that, you've got yourself some scrunchies. Now, just some important extra notes about scrunchies. Yael was telling us about how when she was young, scrunchies were a thing. It was really exciting to wear them. But her favorite scrunchie was the scrunchie that also had the Beanie Baby attached to it. So just a thought, you could take a scrunchie and you could sew on a little stuffed doll and then put it in your kid's hair and they'll have a stuffed doll just floating on their head. And they'll remember it forever because Yael's an adult
were great,
now,
okay?
and she remembers. So we hope you make scrunchies, and then we hope you wear them like this, and that you enjoy the whole process because it's a lot of fun. And otherwise, that's what we've got. Blake Cotton Jersey is shipping and in stores now, so take a look for it and let us know what you're making. We'd love to see your projects.
And if you're watching on Instagram right now, I'm not sure if the video will save and upload, so if you want to check back, you can look at our Facebook. It will definitely be there. I just keep that one.
Have a good weekend.